This is the MMA Homie Podcast with DJ MTK, West Coast Ray Ray. The question that we have on today's episode: did UFC 310 live up to the hype? And let me
Ooh,
get your
that's
first.
a good question. Yeah. No, that's a really good question because me and you had a conversation leading up to it. And there was some it had a lot of it had a lot to offer as far as a MMA hardcore like fan. You can kind of see some things setting up in the future for future fights. There's some good performances on the prelims. I liked it. I was impressed. I really had that. The main card was exciting. I mean, the skill there, I was impressed, man. I really was.
And I think we got to answer if you took that Kai Asakura fight and the Pantoja fight.
Hmm.
If you took a top guy from another organization and you put him up against the top guy against the UFC's organization, who's going to win? And evidently, we got a definitive answer.
Yeah.
A definitive answer. He choked him out. He second round left
Hmm.
left no questions unanswered there, and so at least we got to see a finish in the. I always love fights at least when you at least get to see a finish in the main card in the main fight
Correct.
on the
Correct. Yeah.
Pantoja kind of walks away, also saying, "Hey, he's one of the best."
Well, here's a question for you though. Do you think Urseg would have done well against Kai? Do you think even Kai should have do you think he should have even stepped over Ursig to even get that fight
Well,
as opposed to the rematch?
we'll trip out on this. They put after that fight. Do you know where Kai Asakura is now ranked?
Mm-mm.
14.
He still got 14 after that.
I mean, I'll
Wow.
give him that. I'll give him that,
Wow.
but not like the championship fight though.
Wow.
But I'll give him
No,
that.
it's interesting.
I give him that.
He didn't look like a scrub. He didn't look like he was necessarily outclassed or, because Pantoja's a dog. I mean, he's been in some wars. We've seen him, strike, submit. We've just seen him. He looked textbook. It looks like Kai needs a little more time in the promotion because the quality of fighters are going to test you and bring out better, you're gonna have to study tape. You're gonna have to bring in fighters from around the world to help train or teach you things to get better to elevate your game. So I don't know. I think I can respect you saying 14, but I still think 14 is too high. I didn't even think you can't even crack the 15 yet. You gotta, but
No,
I don't know.
I would at least get him in the 15 though. You know what I mean? I
Okay.
would at least get him in the 15. He deserves to see where he's at. I think that maybe he should have fought like a Steve Ursig to get in, something like that. But I will say this for the last, the question was, did it live up to the hype? For the last pay-per-view card in 2024, we got a lot of at least questions answered on the I didn't like the way they stacked the card. I thought they should have shuffled some fights on the main card that were on the prelims. Just kind of leading into now the Rachmanov versus Ian Gary. I was actually rewatching the fight right now, and it made me think about it was so bro. It was like such a technical inch for inch fight. I mean, how
Yeah.
did you really think Rachmanov did Rachmanov beat Ian Gary?
So in with that fight, there was elements to it that surprised me as far as Ian Gary's ability to withstand the pressure. And then honestly, he was able to kind of apply his own pressure in a way. And I didn't, the fight didn't really it didn't leave that impact in my mind where I'm sitting here and I can just tell you round for round because it was such a technical,
A very
you know what I mean? It was kind of like a boring fight, quote unquote, boring fight. So it didn't leave that impression, but I didn't think either fighter did enough. And I just left it up to
if they would have
to
said
the
it was
judges.
wrong, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. But I
Yeah.
will say this: Ian Gary, he's definitely impressed me in the aspect of like you deserve to be in this position of where you're at.
Yeah.
You're not a
Yeah.
chump. You really I thought he kind of brought it to Shavkat a little bit
Yeah.
and
I
and
agree.
and made Shavkat look human
Yep.
and that I'm glad it was 5 rounds because then
Yeah.
we got to see them both kind of go into the fourth and fifth, and Ian just kept going. Bro, there was
Yeah,
a
he did.
Ian fucking almost tapped his ass.
Yeah, he did. No respect. Ian, and then for me,
And I will say this, let me just finish it. The fact
yeah,
that Shavkat was able to withheld that to kind of weather that storm and that pressure, because a lot of people would have tapped, bro. He
yeah,
had to choke in tight, and I think he had the
yep,
body angle as well. He was able to maneuver and then kind of roll out of it and get on
yep.
top of him. But bro, like that's seconds away of like you're choked the fuck out and it's game over. And we're talking about Ian Gary getting his hand raised and still undefeated in a finish.
Yeah, and it
That's
finished.
why he
And here's the
impressed.
thing. I kind of, it's not that I judged Ian per se. It's not like I was like thinking, oh, he's going to come in and get whooped. But he just, when we talked about that face off, I was like, yo, Ian ain't no punk. Like he kind of like stood there and it set that tone from that moment forward. And I was enjoying seeing him live up to that hype in a sense and actually, bring it to Shavkat Rakhmonov. And I think these are two stars in that division they're going to see each other again at some point.
Oh no, definitely, bro. And
Oh
they're
yeah,
28, 30 years old, so they're still in the prime of their lives. I think that Ian can keep growing, and I'd like to see Shavkat keep growing too, because Ian Gary looked good on all aspects of the fight. He really did. Like I said, I was really impressed with them, and this is gonna make this division. I mean, if we really think about this division for next year, bro, you got JDM right there,
yeah,
Leon Edwards still right there, Sean Brady right there, Ian Gary, Joaquin fights today.
yep,
Imagine Joaquin
yep.
knocks out Kobe.
Oh yeah, bro.
Shavkat,
You already know he's already on his way. He's
Shavkat
already on
right
his way.
uh, Michael Morales, Carlos Praetis, and that leads into the Brian Battle, Randy Brown.
Yep.
Now, I don't know. I was disappointed in Brandy Brown, and I was disappointed in Brian Battle not making weight. And I kind of felt like even afterwards, Randy Brown really didn't want to dap up Brian Battle. He seemed irritated, bro.
Yeah,
He was all
of
like, "Man,"
course.
but I think that you should have used that irrit. If you were that irritated, go fuck him up then. Because
Well,
it went up against the cage. When they went up against the cage,
yeah.
Brian Battle was kind of imposing his will against the cage, and I kind of felt like Randy Brown gave up on himself against the cage. Inside, when they were boxing, though, I felt like Randy Brown was beating him when it come to exchanges.
I mean, is that a fair statement though?
Why?
Because if you come in, 5, 10 pounds overweight, and I had to cut down weight, and you're able to impose your strength, okay, I'm going to tell you why.
But I'm
Because you didn't have to dehydrate to get down to the
and,
weight you should have been.
and I get on that, but I bet you there are fighters out there that have gone through that same fucking scenario and were just like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm better than you. I don't give a fuck about everything
Okay.
else." That have that Jordan Kobe-ness to them that are just like, it doesn't matter. Jordan played fucking with the flu.
You know, it's I'll give Brian his flowers, even though I was disappointed as well. I since we got into this, I never understood the weight thing. I thought it was just automatic. I thought fighters just did it. I'd never really put much thought into it. But
The
then
science,
listening to these guys
yeah.
and seeing how it's a matter of being professional. Like, these guys train for this and they do that. So
I agree.
disappointed.
I agree with that.
Bryant Battle's a great fighter, bro. He's a great fighter. You can what you're talking about as far as Bryant, he's gonna do that to a lot of guys in that division. We've already been watching him do that.
I felt like Randy Brown, bro. It was a close fight. That could another fight could have gone either way. It's
He
not Brian
pissed me
Battle.
off, bro. He said I wouldn't have taken the fight. Battle said I wouldn't have taken the fight if Randy Brown was overweight. And I just think it's not the homie weight. Like that's not it. I want to give flowers to Brown, even though we're kind of dogging on him a little bit because we wanted him to show more heart and
I
finish
did.
him more body shots. He had.
I felt like he was like in his own mind. Like he was so irritated. He was like, you know, it's like I just use this analogy for somebody. You know, it's like when you're going out with somebody and shit, and she pisses you off, but you guys